not only because he was the mayor of the nation's capital, but he was just true to what he believed in. He was true to helping people. He was just true to a lot of things. And I'm so thankful and so, I don't know. I remember seeing Mr. Berry at a very early age, growing up in Southeast Washington, D.C., Ward 8. And Mr. Berry he would come to us as kids and would actually come and talk to us and ask us about our future, what we had, what were our goals and what do we want to do, what do we want to become. And then I had the esteemed pleasure of actually being called and invited to protect the young man. Mr. Berry was such an amazing person. Mr. Berry, he was just, I don't know, words can't explain how he was. And like I say, it wasn't that we were just protecting an individual. Mr. Berry was more so like an uncle, like a father. He was a mentor. He truly cared about his detail, and he truly cared about the city. When I tell you, man, it was things that Mr. Berry would do in the community that would just kind of woo me or wow me over because of his heart, his passion, his dedication to see change and bring forth transparency as it related to making sure that D.C. citizens got everything they needed. And I'm quite sure you often heard stories about how a lot of local entrepreneurs, came under Mr. Berry's wings and became very successful. And that was a tribute to the kind of guy Mr. Berry was. He was a part of the Black History movement in so many ways. He even had interactions with Dr. King. The list just goes on and on and on. I want to give a special shout out to Miss Cora Masters Berry, who I also love so much. Miss Berry, you are a strong Black woman. You are doing phenomenal things. I'm grateful and glad to be able to call you my friend. The event you put on yesterday was priceless. The city did Marion well. Also, a special shout out to Mayor Muriel Bowser for her role in it as well. Dynamite young lady, very powerful mayor that's running the city. It was just a good day. People showed out in their green and white, and it was just real cool. It was very cool. So I just wanted to give that out. I mean, I could actually, matter of fact, I'm actually going to have an entire show about Mr. Berry at some point. And I'm going to try to get Mrs. Berry on along with her daughter so we can just kind of reminisce and have some of my former, comrades, the people from the detail, come on the show as well and talk about it. So without further ado, I have a good friend of mine, Brother Melvin Jackson. This dynamite brother, man, is doing phenomenal things in Hollywood. He's going to bless us with his presence today. He's calling me all the way from L.A. Matter of fact, I think we got Brother Melvin on the line. Brother Melvin, you on the line?
Yes, sir.
That's good morning. Hey, man, I owe you a lot when you come to the city. But, hey, Melvin, what time is it in L.A. right now?
It's about 7 something right now, 7 a.m.
Good God Almighty. So from brother to brother, just know that I love you.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Too. So we're going to get into it. For my listeners that listening, Melvin, can you kind of just give them a little bit about Brother Melvin, man? So we can get into the show. I'm quite sure they're dying to know who this guy I've been promoting for all week.
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm a brother from the DMV area. Born and raised in D.C. Grew up in Maryland as well. And then we traveled overseas for 8.5 years.
Awesome.
And pursued my dream in entertainment. Became a manager at about age of 18, 19. What I'm known for is the HBO show The Wire. Played on third season, played Bernard, and then on Everybody's Chris. And then I just recently played First Blow in the Audition Story.
Awesome.
And I'm just trying to definitely make a difference in the world and the community and build up, these young minds. And that's what I'm about, is empowering the youth and making a difference, not just in the entertainment industry, but in the world, and making sure that I leave a staple behind, a legacy.
Awesome.
And speaks volumes.
Tell me a little bit about your book, Melvin. The book is called The Adventures of Jimmy the Fly.
Yes, my wife and I created a book, a children's book called Adventures of Jimmy the Fly, and it's pretty much about Jimmy and his friends play epic game of hide and seek in the airport, and Jimmy decides to hide in the airplane, and when he hides in the airplane, he hides in the luggage compartment, and he gets hit in the head with a piece of luggage, and he gets knocked unconscious, waking up, not remembering anything. He's pretty much has amnesia, doesn't know his name or anything, and so now he's trying to find his way back home, and so he connects with the family, and they try to help him, remember who he is and try to find his way back home. So it's all about, just, sometimes strangers might come to your aid when you least expect it.
Amen. So as our youth, so we know, and oftentimes our parents tell us to not talk to strangers. So in your book, how do we get an understanding? Because I'm totally with you, because you never know who can help you. And just like myself and you, if we were somewhere and we were on the street and a young lady or a young man was going through something, based off of we know who we are and what we bring to the table, that we'll be offering to help. And just say, for instance, that young lady or that young man for some reason said, well, my mom or my dad told me not to talk to strangers, and they're in a dire need. You feel where I'm going with this, Melvin? So we have to figure out a way to kind of break that barrier. What do you suggest we do? And also as it regards to your book.
Well, the thing we want to do is kind of take it back to the old school way, in your community, a community parent, was, a community parent in the sense where, like your kid, this is how it was, like, you can go home and the neighbor will find out that you got in trouble at school, that you get whooped by the neighbor. By the time you get home, you may get a spanking or whooping by 5 people before you get home to your mom. Amen. And that was like the community parenting the kids. So it's all about, if somebody's kid in dire need, that they would, take them and help them and be there for them. So I think it's just changing the mental of like people not being so selfish and like saying, how would you want someone to take your kid, or if your kid was in a situation where they needed some help, how would you want them to, react to that situation? How would you want them to handle it in the way that your kid is getting the best assistance possible?
Yes, sir. So now, you as a young man, because you and I both, we kind of, I'm gonna use the word established, which means that we came from where we came from. Now we're able to fend on our own. We're able to make our own decisions with a clear mind. What were some of the attributes that you learned as a young man that actually stuck with you today to make you want to be a better person and a person to help society and help our youth in our community? What was the one thing that triggered you to want to do that at an early age, Mel?
Well, definitely just being that I was a child that
So Melvin, you know how radio work, right? I'm gonna come back to you after this break, buddy. Just stand by for me. All right? You listen to the Archie Beslow radio show, Let's Figure It Out, on WLDCnews.com, also 1450 AM. We'll be right back after these commercials. So that's my good friend, Melvin Jackson Jr. He resides in LA, doing a lot of powerful things with the youth. He has a dynamite book out. It's called The Adventures of Jimmy the Fly. Just a positive brother. You guys got to excuse me, I'm still. Good morning, Darlene. Good morning, Jay. I'm still basking over the old Murray and Burry situation, man. Murray, that statue that they built yesterday was phenomenal. You guys have to go down to 13th and a half Pennsylvania Avenue and see the statues right beside the Wilson Building. It's a must-see. They did Murray very well. So today's topic, I'm going to need you guys to call in. Again, the number is 1-800-450-7876 for my Facebook Live watchers. 1-800-450-7876. We're going to be talking about youth and marijuana, alcohol, and cigarette smoking. A very powerful statement. A very powerful situation. I have compiled some stats as well that I'm going to wait till I get back on air to actually talk about the stats. But you guys will be, some of you guys may know. Yes, The Adventure of Jimmy Fly, Darlene. That's the name of his book. So yeah, what I want to know why we put so much emphasis on the marijuana piece and we don't really put a lot of emphasis on cigarette smoking and drinking, where a lot of our kids are doing a lot of binge drinking and they're doing a lot of smoking cigarettes, but we really harp on the marijuana part of it. Now, by no means am I encouraging any of it, because I don't believe in any of it, really. I mean, I'm not a drinker myself. I definitely don't smoke. I just think that we don't need to put anything toxic in our bodies, because we have enough problems of our own dealing with the type of foods we eat and everything else that we do in life. So we don't need to add to our health issues. And we also need to talk more to our kids about the cause and effects of alcohol and cigarette smoking, and that type of thing. It's very important. And we just don't realize that the kids need to know about how marijuana use kind of messes up your brain cells. It kind of sets you back. There's my man Butch in the house. It kind of sets you back on a lot of aspects. And we really need to grab our kids, man, and kind of hug our kids up and stop being passive with our approach on how we talk to our kids about certain situations. We have to take control. I was talking to a young lady not too long ago about her daughter saying, "Mom, don't come in my room." That's not your room. The room belongs to the person that's paying the rent. Just like your cell phone. That's not your cell phone. I'm gonna allow you to keep the cell phone, but that's not your cell phone. So some of these are the things that we have to hold near and dear to our hearts when we talk to our kids. Had another conversation with a guy. And is it me, or is it that we kind of are afraid of the reaction that our kids are going to give us? It used to be the other way around when we were growing up. We used to be afraid of how our parents was going to react to us. Now it's seeming to me like a lot of the parents are afraid on how the kids are going to respond, whether they're going to run away from home or whether they're going to... We're giving our kids too much power, and I think that's a problem. That we should always be in control of our house and of our kids and our kids' decisions. We can't just allow them to think and just run freely on their own and just do what they want to do. And if they don't believe what you're saying, we all got Google, we all have computers. Start Googling information. Start showing them the facts. Start showing them stats. That way it won't be your word against their word. This will be the actual facts. So we about to come back on. I love what I do. Archie has a radio show. All right, we're back. We're back on the air. Brother Melvin, you on the line? My man. Hey, thanks for being patient, Brother Melvin. You know how radio works.
Right, exactly.
So, because we got to pay them bills as well, you know that. But we would speak before we left, and for you guys that are just tuning in, I have my man Melvin Jackson Jr., an author, actor, CEO of his own business, DMV's own. I have him on the line today. He's my co-host in the studio, calling all the way from L.A. Is it Beverly Hills, California?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles? Yeah, I'm always trying, I'm from Southeast. We always try to spice it up. But I appreciate the brother for reaching in and calling from Los Angeles. So before we left, we was talking about how you were influenced, Melvin. What one thing that you can remember as a young man that got you, that kind of sticks with you now today as you're going about your life?
Yeah, I definitely want to say my mother, in the sense that, she told me that I've been doing anything I put my mind to. So, that just carried me throughout my life because I was a problem child. And people, were there to help me get through, my situations and where I'm at now to where I'm at now. So I would always just say that I can do anything I put my mind to, so that the sky was the limit for me. So I knew that I wanted to make a difference in people's lives and be a blessing and not just be about myself, because there are people out there that are, that people are not helping them and won't help them. So I just said, I want to be that person that does reach out, does give a hand and try to make a difference in individuals like that I come in contact with.
Would it be safe to say, Melvin, you sound like me, man. Would it be safe to say that you still live your life to make your mom proud?
Absolutely.
Right. And I, Melvin, I talk about this every show. And out of everything that I say, I want that to resonate in the minds of my listeners on a continual basis. Because you have to want to live for something or for somebody in order to make yourself great. Now, a lot of people say, well, I don't want to be great. Well, let's not use the word great. Let's say you want to be relevant. You know what I mean, Melvin? Let's do things to make ourselves relevant. So we're gonna jump right into it, Melvin, because, you know, a lot of our youngers out here smoking weed, they drinking alcohol, they smoking cigarettes, because I think it's the cool thing to do. Or they think it's a cool thing to do. Let me run some stats real quick. One person dies every 6 seconds from a tobacco-related disease. Tobacco smoke contains over 4,000 chemicals. The tobacco industry revenue was $744 billion in 2014. Last known fact. More than 600,000 non-smokers die each year from secondhand smoke worldwide. That's a problem.
Yeah.
So, and I often tell my listeners, Melvin, is we have to talk and educate not just our kids, but we have to educate ourselves. You know, sometimes when you're home and you're not doing anything, open the computer up and just read something and learn something. And the more and more you learn, the better your life will be as you move forward. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
So from your experience, and we all grew up, well, whoever grew up, I'm trying to figure out why is it that the parents put more emphasis on the child that smokes marijuana than they do a kid that drinks alcohol or smokes cigarettes. Call us. The number is 1-800-450-7876, 1-800-450-7876. So me and my man Melvin can have this discussion along with my callers. This is a very important talk. My phone line should be blowing up. Again, that's 1-800-450-7876. So now, Melvin, what are some of, like when we were growing up, your peers, you know, all our peers, the people we grew up with, they did a little bit of something. What were some of the things that you felt was the leading cause of why the young cats were actually smoking weed?
I mean, because everybody else was doing it, wanted to fit in.
Right.
I think a lot of times, you know, people being followers, not, you know, necessarily that they want to do it, but they could. Everyone else around them is doing it, so they feel like, well, I might as well try and be in the in crowd.
Right. And that's the thing. So the in crowd, to me, once again, that's a family's decision. That's not a child's decision, because you got to remember, coming up, I couldn't just hang out with anybody unless my mom or dad met that person or talked to that person's parents. So the disclaimer was, if you don't respect me or the child don't respect me enough to meet their mom or their dad, and you're talking about you spending the night or you going out to dinner with them, so that's disrespectful to me as a parent, that other parent actually doesn't even want to actually talk to me to get to know me. Now, mind you, I can't think for the other parent, but I can be in control of my household.
Absolutely.
You feel me? So what are some of the things that once again, that you realize, like some of your peers, I'm quite sure a lot of our peers are doing successful, but what about the ones that you knew, Melvin, that were going down the wrong road of destruction at an early age?
I mean, for me, I just feel like, you know, your energy you put out will you know, kind of be contagious to other people. So for me, like, I didn't do a lot of those things. So it was people who wouldn't do it around me, or they would say, you know, maybe like not do it just because of who I am. I'm like, I'm not going to do something because somebody else is doing it. I'm like, no, I'm going to be me. If I feel like, you know, it's not going to help me in any kind of way, then I'm not going to do it. So I think that, you know, a lot of times, you know, when people know who you are, they won't be around you as much doing the things they do because they know that that's not you. So that was my experience as far as, like, not really being around it as much because people know that I didn't do it, or I was the person that didn't do it. I could be around it and not, you know, want to do it. They wouldn't even offer it to me because they know that's not my thing.
Right. So once again, and that's another prerequisite of us trying to make sure that our parents or the people that we care about the most know that we're doing the right thing as much as we can. It is so important. I mentor a lot of young men, and you know, of course, I'm not going to throw no names out. It's like marijuana, smoking weed is like the thing to do, and of course, it doesn't help that they're kind of like legalizing it and kind of making it like it's okay. I mean, the world today, man, it's I don't want to give up the fight, Because we're not here to give up. We're here to fight. And I always also resort back to Dr. King, Melvin. That was a young man that left out his house every morning, not knowing if he was going to come back home to his wife and kids. I just don't think that we're not standing at those type of grounds as parents as it relates to our kids. I don't think that a lot of parents are willing to risk their lives to make sure that their kids are on the right path. That's just an opinion. This is talk radio, so by all means, you can call in and voice your opinion about it. But this is just my way of thinking. What you think about that, Melvin?
I want to touch on this. I felt like, it's one of those things. You not say pick your battle, but it's kind of a situation. It's like, a parent can tell a kid not to do certain things,
right?
But at the end of the day, the kids are going to do what they want to do. Just like when the kids are out of their parents. Out of their house or wherever they may be, they're talking a different language. They may be cursing. They may be doing all these things that necessarily wouldn't do in front of their parents. So we as parents can do as much as we can to shelter our kids, to keep them on the right track. But at the end of the day, they still got to be smart enough to make the decision for themselves, because they got whatever decision they make, they got to live that decision. So I always say that, weed is definitely a drug. Weed is something that, parents are not wanting their kids to do.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you prefer them do weed than doing cocaine or heroin or all the things that can really kill them. So it's like you're picking your battle. I mean, you're taking one thing and saying, you know what? Okay, will weed kill them? You know, in a sense, opposed to if they're on crack or if they're on these different drugs. So it's kind of like, you got to take the good with the bad sometimes. And it's just one of those things that all you can do. For me, all I can say, all you can do is pray.
Amen.
And it's one of those things that's really hard, because you can beat a dead horse into try to wake them up. But it's just at the end of the day, it's like you have to instill principle in your kids, and they have to know, like, what, this is not how I was raised. For me, it was different. Like, I've been offered it many times. It just wasn't for me.
Gotcha.
That's not every kid's, story.
Yes, sir.
Not everybody's experience. So everybody has to live the life that they choose to live, and they have to be okay with the consequences that come from that. If you're going to do it, you can't be reckless with it. So it's really a tough situation to be like, oh, man, because you can tell a kid so many things, and you can be upset with them, you can do all these things, and then eventually they don't tell you anything at all.
There you
Rather
go.
than have a conversation with them and see why are you doing it? Why do you feel like you need to? And then have this dialogue. Yeah.
That's Melvin, and women talk about it all the time. Communication is key. Communication is even more key as it relates to the relationship of a parent and their kids. You can't get frustrated with your child on any given topic or scenario. Let me read something for a second. It says perhaps one reason kids don't see pot as dangerous is because they know or think their parents smoked it. Even as parents haven't cleaned with their kids about their own marijuana use, teens who have watched any of the 80s stoner classics, reruns of 70 shows and all that, they think that it's cool to do it because their parents are well. But it's just unfortunate that marijuana is not like it used to be. It's more potent, and you don't know who's putting what on what. It's just dangerous. So I got to take another break, Melvin. Melvin, you good? You can hang with me for a little while longer?
Yeah, I'm good.
My man, appreciate you. You listen to WL 95.9 FM, 1450 AM, WLDCnews.com, where information is power. This is the Archie Beslow radio show. Let's figure it out. We'll be right back after these messages. Thank you. All right, had the phone lines jumping. So, yes, good morning, Brother John. Art, thank you, Art. Leroy. They see famous folks smoke Art, bro. That's true, Leroy. They see him. Weed is not more dangerous now. It's laced with all kinds of stuff. I don't trust it. I don't even trust the the water glasses I'm drinking out of in restaurants. Let alone putting something in my mouth and that's gonna mess my brain up. So we got a couple of callers on the line. That's the good stuff. We're gonna get to our calls when we come back. What we got? Facebook world. What we got? So my thing is, and I'm reading different stats. So like my point is, if we talk about the stats with our kids, kind of like remove ourselves from the equation and sit down with the kids and look at the stats. And stats can be from the computer. We can pull up like documentaries from TV shows. It's so many things that we can do to teach our kids, because you know our kids they are visual. So if they actually see something, they may not let you know that they're receiving it, but trust and believe, if they're watching it and someone else is talking about it, then they're going to be more apt to pick it up and actually follow the lead of the stranger. That's kind of pretty much saying the same thing that you're saying. But we don't care about that. Sometimes you got to step out of the situation and allow someone else to come in and help. So we're going to like really dab into it. Where we at? More prevention and education is needed. That's true, darling. We need the education and the prevention. But I still say, going back to back in the day, the education and the prevention was our mom and our dad. You know, people always talk about how, you know, somebody got a whipping or you got spanked or you got beaten. I mean, of course, we know we can't do that now. But there are ways to circumvent those type of situations. And that's just straight communication. That's just talking it out. Let's talk about it. Even if your kid hasn't done anything wrong, hey, let's talk. And then, you know, I know some parents, you fall when a kid be like, oh, mom, I don't feel like it right now. Then you just let them go. So when a child is kind of like brushing you off from talking to them, that's a sign that they really need to talk about something. But it may not be the topic that you want to talk about at that moment. But anytime your child brushes you off, there's something going on. Think about this. When your child is in a good mood, they want to wrap you up. They want to talk. All right? There's a message behind that. When your child is sucking their lips or pouting or kind of playing you off, that's when you got to stop your child in their tracks right at that moment and start talking to them, because there's definitely something going on. And we're not going to use the word force it out of them, because we're not about forcing information out of anyone, because it's not an interrogation, but we're going to love the information out of our kids. All right? We're back up. All right, welcome back to the Archie Beslow radio show. Let's figure it out with my co-host calling from L.A., Brother Melvin. Melvin, you still on the line with me, my man? Outstanding. Melvin, we're going to take a couple of callers. I think we got Ken from Florida on the line. Caller, you on the line?
Yes, I'm here. How you doing?
I'm doing great, my friend.
All right. I'm calling because I need some encouragement, because I'm really about to give up on black folks.
Okay.
I am a sixth grade world history teacher. I try to infuse African education in the curriculum that I teach.
Yes, sir.
I went to my principal because in my school district there are no schools that teaches African history. So he said he was going to try. You know, we had it where it's a law that you can teach it in the 9th grade or high school, but it's nothing to do it in the middle school level. So he said he was going to try to. He's a white guy.
Okay.
So I decided to send home a letter to African American parents asking them if they teach African American history to their students.
Mm-hmm.
And I quote Malcolm X that education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those that prepare for it today. And I also state another thing, that the greatest gift to a child is an education.
Yes.
And what was so disheartening is one African-American parent called my principal and complained about the letter. And it really bothered me, because I do so much for those African-American students to try to get them prepared educationally.
Yes, sir.
And not only educationally, but to have a sense of who they are. Because too many of our children face the world without a knowledge of their culture.
Amen.
And they are facing children that are Chinese, that have a strong cultural background, whites that have a strong cultural background, and others.
Yes, sir.
And then when I do something like this, to have an African-American parent call and complain. And from the assistant principal, she says, well, why don't you speak to Mr. Simmons about the letter? She refused to even speak with me. She didn't even have the audacity to call me first before going to the principal.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just saying, it strikes so much at, we're always talking about what the white man are doing, but then we do so much to not move us forward.
Let me
listen to your comment.
Yes, sir. Let me Melvin, you got anything to say to that, Melvin?
I just say that it's important for us to continue to fight, to not give up.
Amen.
On ourselves, and especially on our people, because there are people that died to get what we have today. So just because something is not happening doesn't mean we continue to stop fighting. That means we fight even harder. That means we fight continuously, because anything that we want, we have to continue to do consistently.
Right.
So that change does happen, because it is important to learn about our African descendants and our African history, because, when I was growing up, we did learn about a lot of those things, but now I know that we don't learn about it as much because kids are not talking about it as much. They're not remembering
Amen.
how we got here, what we had to do, and certain things, because they're like, okay, now we want to sugarcoat everything and not remind people of where they came from.
So thank you, Melvin. So Ken, I offer you this, and I will say this forever. I still look at Dr. King and Dr. Malcolm X and all that because of their struggle and how they fought. And Melvin hit the nail right on the head. Brother Ken, what I suggest to you is to find strategies. Don't give up the fight, because that's what happens. Whoever they are, I never like putting titles in. I don't do the race and the color card, because everybody somehow, some way is affected by something negative in America. So where everybody is suffering. But what I do want you to do is I want you to fight for our kids. I want you to find strategies to get the message that you want to get across. If it's a quote that you want to get out, a lot of things can be retained in a small quote. It doesn't even have to be like a whole drawn out curriculum, because a lot of times kids don't retain a lot of the stuff that we're teaching them as well. But if you can find powerful quotes, if you can direct your kids to watch documentaries, there are things that we can do, Brother Ken, to actually keep this fight going on. But I do want to applaud you. I definitely thank you for calling in from Florida, man.
Can I say one quick
You
thing?
sure can. Yes, sir. By all means, yes, sir.
One of the reasons that I had wanted to do the African American curriculum is, prior to this year, I was always infusing African history into my curriculum.
Yes, sir.
And I would see a change in behavior of our students.
Uh-huh.
Not only to discipline behavior and a different approach to education.
Right.
And so I felt that, and I told my principal, maybe if we did that in a curriculum, you would see a great change.
Well, that's facts, Ken. That's definitely facts. That's why they're not allowing it in your curriculum.
Yeah.
You feel me?
The last thing is,
yes, sir.
The parent that called out to complain about me, her child is reading below grade level. He's doing math below grade level, and he's failing a lot of his classes, and she has not once called out there to find out what we can do or why his grade is what it is. But she found the time to call out there to complain on me, and that's just disheartening. Man.
It is, and that's so what I call it is, I call that motivation to protect that child, because at the end of the day, the adult is going through something that we would never ever know what she's going through. So it's not always negative. I feel where you're coming from, because you're grinding and you're working hard for the betterment of our youth. But at the end of the day, that lady is going through something that we would never ever know what she's going through. So our main focus should be to find ways to actually reach that young man so that we can actually bring their grades up. You feel me, Ken? So I'm with you. But, man, let me get these other callers, man. I appreciate you taking out the time to call my show, man. And I'm going to pray for you, just like I pray for everybody else. But keep the fight, my man.
All right.
All right? Thank you, sir. We have another call on the line. Is Rita? Is this Rita?
Yeah, this is Rita. Hi, Archie.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm calling just to voice my opinion about the youth and the alcohol and the drugs.
Yes, ma'am.
You have an awesome show this morning. I firmly believe that it does start at home. I have a 23-year-old son, and from the very beginning, the old people used to say, do as I say, not as I do. But I'm a firm believer, you do as I do, and which means as a parent, we must lead a positive role model for our children.
Yes.
I always told my son, if he made bad choices, it will follow him for the rest of his life. So from a very young man, I instilled on him what was right and wrong, and I encouraged him to be a follower, not a leader.
Amen.
And I've been blessed because he's listened to me. But a lot of times, Archie, parents don't even know what's going on in their homes. I agree with you when you said with your parents that, I didn't allow my son to hang out with any and everybody. Yep. I got to know his friends' parents. Yes. I went to meet them. I didn't even allow my children to spend the night at other people's homes because I didn't know what they were doing in their homes.
Yes.
And a lot of times people would, the kids would say, oh, you're so strict. But no, that's how you keep a handle on them.
Yeah. It's important. And Melvin, you can always chime in at any time, my brother. It's important to take control over your seed, because nobody else is going to care more about your seed than you are. The moment you start slighting your seed, that's when we all fail, because the shortcomings that you give to your child is going to affect somebody else's child. It's going to affect somebody else's grandmother. It's going to affect somebody else's teacher. We don't realize the things that we don't capture and protect in our houses, it goes out into the world and cause corruption.
It does. And can I say this? I was called to my son's school when he was in the 8th grade. And, they called the principal and the teacher called and asked me if I could come in. And I went in and, he had never been in any trouble. And I was like, what's going on? And they actually called me in for a meeting. And they said, Miss Coleman, we just want to know, what are you doing with Michael that he stands out?
Amen.
And I was in tears. I was just so appreciative. And I said, well, I'm just trying to teach him right or wrong.
Amen.
They said, well, I'm sure other parents do the same thing. But we want to know what you're doing that is fit with him.
You're consistent.
When it comes to school. They said, because we have young men his age selling drugs in our class, interrupting the class. Man, I have drugs. It's in my locker. I'll give it to you after school. They said, but when your son comes into class, even if he's a couple of minutes late, he raises his hand, he apologizes, he tells us where he was.
Amen.
And I said, I feel that a lot of parents are lost.
So Rita, I'm gonna need you. Yes, I got you. I want you to hold on. We gotta go to this commercial break. Melvin, you still with me, man?
I'm still with you.
My brother. We're gonna take this commercial break and we'll be right back. You're listening to WL 95.9 FM 1450 AM, WLDCnews.com, where information is power. Yes, this is the Archie Beslow radio show. Let's figure it out. Facebook listeners, you heard it. Give me some feedback. Let me see what y'all talking about out there, Facebook. Because at the end of the day, everything in life comes down to consistency. Like Ms. Rita's saying that they commend her for how her child is in school. That's because she's consistent. That's because her passion for her son to do well is on her heart. And your child picks up on it when the love of your child outweighs the frustration. Hear me out. This is a learning moment. When the love of your child stands out more than the frustration that your child gives you, your child become more apt to want to listen to you because now you're coming from a very emotional, a very factual standpoint of your conversation instead of your child just frustrating you and why the heck they do it or why she do what she did, this and that and the other. Instead of asking why she did what she did. One of my callers said it on Facebook, I think a couple weeks ago. Just simply ask the child what happened. And when I'm talking about the question about what happened, we're not even talking about what happened in this incident. We're talking about what has happened to you over the years. You know, when you was my little baby boy or my little baby girl, you know, you was going through life. Everything was just pleasant. You was doing good. You was very manable. You know, who came into your life to cause disruption? Who came into your life to change your mindset? Who came into your life to have you betray your family? These are the questions you have to ask. Ask your kids and use these powerful words. Who are empowering you more than me empowering you? So what is that person doing to get your attention that I'm not doing to get your attention? If you want to save your children. You want to be the boss. Like they say, you got to pay the cost to be the boss. And paying the cost to be the boss as a parent is you have to give undivided attention to your child. So like El Boogie, like Lionel, the peer pressure thing, I get it. I mean, I get it. And you know, this is a talk show. We here to debate. But think about it. You turned out to be a great dude. You wasn't subject to peer pressure. I think I'm doing fairly all right. I ain't subject to peer pressure. And you're right. We had friends on the block. We had all types of friends on the block. We had that friend that was an A student. We had that friend that was selling weed. We had that friend that was good with the hands. We had that friend on the block that was a lover, that was getting all the young ladies. You're right. We had that nucleus of how different individuals could be. But at the end of the day, when we left that block, we had to go back in them households. And once you got in them households, all that block stuff was shut down. Half the stuff we talked about on the block never made it into the house. Now you got kids that do things, not even as the block, but the things that they talk about on social media with their friends, the things they talk about in the school, they freely bring it back into their house. And as almost as if they're daring their parents to say something about it. And then you got some of the parents, when the kids bring it in the house, they laughing and joking with the kids about the scenarios that they talked about in school. You got to think about it. Some of the things that our kids talk about, our mom and dad would not laugh at those conversations. We kind of laughing to try to be our child's friend as well as trying to be their parents. No, there's no balance in that. You have mom and dad has to be here. The friendship part has to be here. If you don't have an understanding, like I tell you guys all the time, I'm my son's best friends and my sons are my best friends because they get it. Brother Lance, I work with the elementary school kids and I have found that most of the kids that are getting in trouble are kids who have dads in prison that are missing them. Also the kids who are not understanding their work, so they act out. That's facts. The solution though, Lance, cuzzo, like I tell people all the time, I think we're back on the block. I'm gonna address that when we get back. I love this joint. All right, welcome back. Very powerful show. Very powerful show. Rita, you still on the line? Brother Melvin, you still on the line? My man, Melvin, I appreciate you, man. This means a lot to me, man. It means a lot to me. Thank you. So, oh my God. Huh? I'm listening, Rita. I get, man, y'all know me. When I stop talking, I got to take a break. That means God is working through me to get the, so I can deliver the right message out. Because my head get cloudy sometimes because there's a lot of things that's going on in this society that we as adults and parents have control over, but we're not exercising our control. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, basically, I agree with everything you said, Archie. I just feel it's time we have to just keep our hands on our children, never let go, and be a part of everything they do, you know.
Yes.
And just to quickly share with you something that happened a couple of years ago with a young man, 16, in the neighborhood. He got in trouble, and when the police came to the house, he had several guns in the house, and the grandparents said he had no idea. And my first response was, look, this is your home. You should know what's in your home, what's going on with your children, you know. That's how we keep a hold on what's happening.
Amen.
We have to be a part of their lives from when they're born all the way up. And there's no such thing, oh, they're 18, they're 16 now. No, they're still children, they still need guidance, and we still, as parents, need to keep our hands on them.
All right. All right, Rita. Well, I thank you for calling in, and I'm going to reach back to you after the show. You know, Rita was my childhood best friend. She kept me in line when I was a little youngin'. Calling away from Norfolk, Virginia, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate that phone call. It means a lot, sis. Thank you, dear.
What you doing, baby? I'll keep you in prayer.
Thank you so much, and I'll call you later.
All right.
Yes, ma'am. Brother Melvin, we're going to kind of wrap this up, man. Give me some of your thoughts, just based off of the calls that we got in, man. And, you know, the Let's Figure It Out show is like a solution-based show. So just based off of what we've heard thus far this morning, Melvin, can you give my listeners some type of solution or summarization based off of what you think, the things you think they can do to make it better?
I mean, we just got to continue to pray and put in the work.
Amen.
It's consistency. You know, when you always continue to do something, it starts to loosen the problem. It starts to change. But if we just, you know, put our hands behind our back and just say, you know, okay, we're going to leave it in God's hands, but also God's like, well, you need to still do the work. So the work still has to be done. The conversation needs to be had each and every time the situation arises, so that it doesn't grow into something massive. You know, you can't change something that you're not willing to talk about.
Right. All right. So before I let you go, because I'm respectful of your time, man, you know we're going to stay connected from this point moving forward. I'm going to pick your brains, and you can pick mine as well. And whenever you're in the city, man, we got to connect.
Absolutely.
Before we leave, man, for my 200,000 plus some listeners all across the country, Melvin, let the people know, you know, how they can get in contact with you, you know, via your social media, and also your book, and also your upcoming events, things that you got going on that we need to look out for.
Well, you can find me at everything is Melvin Jackson Jr. on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I have a website, melvinjacksonjr.com. You can go and get the book, The Adventures of Jimmy the Fly, on Amazon right now. Yeah, it's just I'm definitely a person that's open, and you know, you can have a conversation where you can reach out to, and I'll respond back to you.
Awesome.
So you know, it's definitely all about, you know, empowering the youth, saving lives, and just continue to shape these young minds.
Well, man, I appreciate you, man. And just knowing this day that you are officially my adopted little brother.
I appreciate it.
All right, man. Love you, man. And be blessed, man. And hug the wife for me, man. And let's talk soon. Thank you for your time, Melvin.
All right.
My man. Yes, sir. My man. All right. So, yeah, again, the number is 1-800-450-7876. 1-800-450-7876. Give me a couple more calls, because this is a very important topic. A lot of you got kids that are smoking weed, drinking, and smoking cigarettes, but you're not calling in and talk about it. So, man, what we got here? I think the parents should take what the teachers say to heart, as opposed to the parents taking the sons and daughters' word when things go wrong. We went to this particular high school, I ain't gonna call out the name of the school, and when the dean of students talked to the parents, they listened. And we would never bring thugs from the block to school either. I got it. My thing is, ladies and gentlemen, solution-based. And I can't say this enough, and I'm going to say this every Sunday. Take control of your kids. Take control of your kids. I need you to sit down, even if it's a day, sit down and ask your child what happened. And they may look at you like, well, what do you mean what happened? Just what happened. And then talk about that warm and fuzzy story that you had about your kids at one point. What happened to that day when you such and such and such and such, and you made mommy proud, you made daddy proud, you made grandma proud, you made granddad proud, you made the family proud. Let's have those conversations. Sit down with your kid and allow your kid, or you share with your child, those memorable moments that you don't even talk about no more. We can talk about memorable moments back in the past about ourselves, but we never sit down and talk about memorable moments that we've had with our kids. You know how effective that will be? That lets your child know that, once again, that you're not just parenting. It lets your child know that they are relevant to you. You think that your child should simply understand that they're relevant to you because you had the child? No, that's not always the fact. Think about your workplace. Do you think your boss think you're irrelevant just because you're doing your job? Nah. You're doing your job because you got to get paid. So think about your child. So now you're disciplined. So your child thinking that you're being hard on them just because you're their parents. Let that resonate. You have to take time to do different things to get your kids to be the kids that you think they should be. And that comes with different strategies. The whole communication piece is important. I think we got another caller on the line. Let me get this caller. Communication is key. We got Brother Ben on the line. Ben, you with me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
My man. So Ben, I like to be mindful of your time. You got a couple of minutes to let me hear what you're talking about.
You know, what we had to do, whenever you take something from a child, it has to be replaced with something else.
Amen. Facts.
So once you lay a blueprint that doesn't include destructive behavior, it has to be there has to be some fulfillment of some positive.
Yes, sir.
So whether that includes some type of, it could be athletics, it could be something that stimulates them academically, or both.
Amen.
And at the same time, not only do you have the blueprint, you have to actually live the blueprint and also expose them to other young men and women who are going in the same direction. So their environment has to sometimes change.
So Ben, and I'm not cutting you off because I'm co-signing what you're saying. Once again, we talk it, and Ben, I pray to God that people are listening to the words that you're saying because they hear it. But if it doesn't feel good, warm and fuzzy to them, or if they act like it doesn't relate to them, they kind of block it off. Anytime anyone has something to say, we must listen. It may not resonate. It may not be the thing that you want to hear at that moment, but you got to allow the person to talk. You got to allow the person to complete their thought so you can even receive the message. The message don't always start out in the beginning of the conversation, people. Sometimes you got the person that's giving the message don't even know what the message is themselves. So you got to wait for the message to come from that person's heart and that person's spirit before it even reaches you. But we're so closed-minded. We look, and I'm sorry, Ben, because that's how Ben, sometimes I just go, man. So just stick with me. But sometimes we judge the messenger and we don't pay attention to the darn message. And in the message, there are thousands of solutions on how to do something. And then the first thing you say, well, I tried that. It doesn't work. Do you know how many times the people that came before us tried stuff and it didn't work, but they kept fighting and then eventually it worked? Go ahead, Ben. I'm good. I had to. I digress.
No, I agree. You know, and we have to. You know, the time. The thing is, time. It can't be such a thing as idle time.
Yes, sir.
So all time is important because we don't have much of it on this earth anyway.
Amen.
So in order to do that, you have to, man, whatever that thing may be, that time has to be filled with something positive versus something negative.
Yes.
Because especially our young men, they want to engage in something that makes them feel important or accepted.
Amen.
So if it's other people smoking weed and getting high, you know, in their small circles, they're going to do that. If it's the military, if it's sports, if it's being a part of a fraternity,
right,
whatever, they have to feel that they are part of something that's exclusive and unique and something important. So it could be positive or negative. So
right.
It's our responsibility to have them engage in something that's positive.
All right, man. Well, that's my time, man. Hey, call back, man. You know what I mean? Next Sunday. I love you, man.
All right, bro. Same here, man.
All right, my man. So also, just for you know, Archie Beslow is a motivational speaker. Tell your churches, tell your businesses, tell your schools. I love to come and talk to you. I have a very powerful message on my heart all the time. You're listening to the WL 95.9 FM, 1450 AM, WLDCnews.com, where information is power. Thank you. Talk to you guys next week. Love you all.
1450 WOL, Washington, W240 DJ.
All right, Facebook family, it's a wrap. Thank you. Love all you guys. Always remember, don't judge the messenger. By all means, listen to the message. See you next week. Love you.